All right, guys, from the customer profile, I wanted to show you a few things that if you aren't already using, you probably should be. Right now, I'm in a parent account customer profile. I know that because it's all cap locks. So if I come down and I come into this relationship tabs and I hit sub customer, this will give me all the multiple ship to addresses that are associated with this parent account. Keep in mind that we bill out at the sub customer level or the ship to address level, right? We never necessarily bill out anything at the parent account level. So this will, again, show you all your multiple ship to addresses if you have several. In this sales tab, there's a couple things we're going to look at. One of them being this items purchase tab. For those of us who have customers who call us and ask, hey, can you please send me some more of the coolant I usually buy? Well, at least now you know that they're buying some Universal. So you can go ahead and send them that. So pretty basic info, right? It's going to give you what they bought, when they last bought it, that sort of thing. But at least you have that info. The main thing I think you guys are going to use here is when you guys first come in here, the transaction level, it kind of hangs out here at this default. But what I will tell you is once you guys change it, okay, so default gives you this, which if you guys have looked in here, you're probably like, well, that's not particularly helpful. So I did create a specific view for you guys. Hit that drop down, then hit list. Easiest way to find it is by typing SEN, then hitting enter. And I just called it SEN-view customer level because I'm clever. Anyway, at least this gives you data that I think is potentially more useful. Right now I have it set for my billing status to be either open or closed. I'm going to change that to open. I can change my type of transaction to invoice if I want to see everything. I typically leave it at invoice, but at least right now it's showing me that I have these invoices that are currently open for the customer. I have these two that are not overdue, and then I have these two that are very overdue. So it just so happens I know what these two are, and we're working on it, but it's a good, easy way for you to be able to see what's going on. From here, you can simply click on these hyperlinks and get back into the actual invoice. So if I clicked here, I asked it to open it in a new tab, but here's the invoice, and then you can resend it to the customer if you need. One thing I would definitely check is to make sure that the email address that we have on file is the correct one. If it is not, you're going to want to change that in the system. And remember, I did tell you guys that we bill to the ship to address, sorry, not the ship to address. It is the ship to address, but the ship to profile, not necessarily the parent account. So what I'm saying is, if for some reason you came in here and there was a wrong email address or something like that, the easiest thing might be to do is to actually come into this customer. And you'll notice that that's a ship to because it does have case sensitive text here. And if I hit edit, I'm going to tell you guys, do not mess with anything in here except if you have to either change or just simply add an invoice, invoice email, why not just do it yourself? So here you could type in the new invoice email address you have. I would encourage you guys not necessarily to delete anything. It's easier simply to add one. I mean, you guys have 10 available spots, including if every time they got sent an invoice, if you guys would like to have one, you can also put your own name there. That means that moving forward, any invoice that gets created will be sent to all emails that are in this system. Then you simply hit save. I'm going to hit cancel because I don't actually want to do anything. Okay, so now we're back at the basic customer profile. We were in sales. We came to transactions, and if you guys did change this, moving forward, it will default to this view every time in every profile. So you'll never really have to change it again. So we went over transactions, and we also went over items purchased. Those of you who can't remember, closed out an invoice is lost or something, and you'd like to reopen it, if you came into this section, you might want to have it as all. But if there were any open opportunities or even closed ones, it would show up here, and you could always go back into the system and reopen them. The next tab that you guys might want to look at is this finance tab. Those of you guys who are having credit issues or anything like that with your customer, you can see the collection rep, work with them directly to help get this customer realigned if they have any overdue balances, that sort of thing. Everything's going to show up here. Pretty basic view. Okay, now the last one I wanted to show you again, you guys just saw this, and you would update this email address at the ship to, because we don't necessarily bill out to the parent account. And we are at the ship to address, so this would be perfect. Okay, the last thing I want to show you guys, in every customer profile, there's this little icon up here that looks like a gauge. It says dashboard if you hover over it. So go ahead and click on it. And the first time y'all log into this, I kind of brought mine back to what yours should look like. If you scroll down, you're going to see this level here that says transaction. And again, everything has a default. So if you've never come in here, it's going to look like this, which is potentially helpful as well, right? But we also went ahead and created an additional view that might be even more helpful to you guys. So instead of having it at the default, there's two views that you guys can look at that I think are helpful. One of them being customer portal with no freight and customer portal transaction. I tend to do the one with no freight because it just cleans things up a lot more. Okay, so from here you have the option. This customer only happens to have 6 individual transactions in our system, so I'm seeing everything. So 6 individual, 6 individual line items that we can look at. If, however, you had a situation where you have a customer who has 50, 60, 70, instead of having to go through and scroll through multiple pages, you could simply click this button here. I'm going to open it in a new tab. And it would show everything for you in a nice, nicely laid out. You could also easily export any data you wanted. And then, you guys are all going to end up having those customers who ask you, hey, how much fuel did I use last month? Well, this is an easy way to do it, because you could also do things like, this particular customer doesn't buy fuel, but I don't know, if I only wanted to see DEF, for instance, or, there's the commercial fuel or commercial non-fuel, well, then I could export this if I had 50, 60 lines out and quickly add everything, give them a number. So that's why I think this will be useful for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and close that out. Now, one thing I will tell you is everything in NetSuite, they're kind of like these boxes. If you notice, there's this like really faint little, I don't know, I'm going to call it dot system. So if you pull it and bring it up, it'll let you make this particular box come up to the top. I think that that's probably where you guys are going to want to put it, especially for the time being, because the KPIs, key performance indicators that they have here are going to be great when we have a full year's worth of data in there. Right now, previous year, nothing. I actually don't know today versus the same day last month. So some of it's useful now, but for the most part, it's not necessarily. And then again, here, the default data on this one is the top 5 items we sell this customer. And here's their year-to-date of what they've purchased. Okay. So I think that these are all useful. And that's the basics of how I think you guys might utilize the customer portal. So thanks for watching.